Hi, and welcome to this week's Wu Wei Wisdom Life Lessons teaching. It's great to be back with you all. Today we are talking all about the Taoist law of attraction, Yi Dao, Qi Dao. And David will be sharing his experience of working with this law of attraction for over 40 years in his practice as a Taoist monk, therapist and teacher. Now, the Taoist law of attraction is much more than just positive thinking, affirmations or vision boards. And this teaching will change profoundly how you think about energy, alignment and manifestation. Okay, David, so let's begin with some basics. Yi Dao, Qi Dao, the Taoist law of attraction. What does that mean exactly?
So if I can split that down for you, Yi, Y-I, the closest translation into English is intention. And that's very important. Your true, authentic intention, like that inner voice, that inner knowing. So there's a big difference between wishful thinking, what you would hope for, and your true intention. Yi. Yi Dao. Dao, as in Taoism, means the way, the path, the flow, being in your flow. So Yi Dao is bringing your authentic intention, your inner knowledge into flow. Qi is your life force, your energy. It's more than just your energy of running. It's your life force, the way you live your life. So that's Qi. Dao is again way. Yi Dao, Qi Dao. The way of your intention is the way of your life force. So it's almost like setting your true intention, not being sidetracked on what you would wish for, what you would hope, what other people want for you, people pleasing, listening to other people. And this is where the difference is. It's digging much deeper and really finding out what you really want for your life, the flow of your life. And if you get that in the correct flow, which is the art of Yi Dao, Qi Dao, not being distracted, going more to the deep intention, then the Qi follows that. So the Qi is following your intention, not the other way around. Not, what's that thing that people say? Can't put the cart before the horse. That's right. Yeah. And it's like, and it's not doing it until it becomes, it's like, first of all, getting your intention really clear. And that really is the key of Yi Dao, Qi Dao.
And so there's two things I've picked up there, David. One is this real emphasis on truth, integrity, honesty, alignment with your authenticity in terms of setting your intentions or your direction of travel or what you would like in your life, whether it's to do with money, career, relationships, health, lifestyle, life experiences. Checking in with yourself in terms of authenticity, making sure it's not led by the ego. So that's the first major difference. And then this second part of the equation, Qi Dao, not only, I guess, is it your energy, so your mindset of your intention then directs your Qi, your energy. But I guess it also then directs, or it has an influence and impact on the Qi of the universe, because the law of attraction is, I understand, all about working with the flow and the energy of the universe.
Thank you, Alex. I don't know whether, it's interesting the word you just used, impact. I don't know whether I'd use that word, but it's an interesting word to think about. The word that I would use is you fall in alignment. You've come into alignment with the energy of the universe. You're in the flow. Really, that's what Wu Wei means, being in the flow, being in that sweet spot where you're in harmony, where you're in balance. So I think Yi Dao, Qi Dao, the key of it that I find when I work with clients, they're very good at telling you what they wish for, what they hope for, what they think should happen, or they would want justice or fairness, but they don't go deep enough to really find out what their true meaning of life is, and they almost lose trust in themselves and they lose trust in what they want.
So there's a mismatch.
Yes.
What you're saying is, for a lot of people, when they're trying to manifest positive outcomes, if there is an internal conflict or mismatch between what the, say their ego or their inner child is leading them to want, by comparison to what their authentic self or their true self actually wants, then that creates a confusion in the energy of their intentions.
That's right. I can give you some practical examples. Because, for instance, if you believe deep down and you've taken on what the inner child tells you, one of the three lies, we can go through all the lies. I'm not good enough. So if you really deep down believe that's true, then that's your intention. Now you can hope it's something else, but now you've caused a misalignment.
Yeah.
Now there's a kind of, you're going against the flow of life. You're trying to be better, get a better job, reach better things, reach whatever. But down deep inside, you got the belief that I'm not good enough. And then that creates the misalignment.
Yeah.
It not only creates what we normally talk about, the red light feelings, but it also creates a conflict in yourself. So that applies with I can't cope. If you really believe you can't cope, and then you have a difficult task that you could do and you will do, but you make it much more difficult for yourself, because now you're fighting yourself. You're not only dealing with a challenging task, you're challenging yourself. And the third lie, if you believe that you're not lovable, really, how can you build a strong relationship with anybody, or if you believe you're not worthy, because you have that inner conflict? And so that then absolutely misdirects your life force, because you say one thing, but you're thinking something else.
And so this really points to the fact that in the law of attraction, Yi Dao, Qi Dao, the work has to be done at almost the first stage.
Yes.
The Yi Dao, getting your intention clear, straight, unconflicted, unconfused. And because if you can do as much positive thinking, you can have as many positive affirmations, you can do vision boards all day long in terms of what you would like to happen in your life, where your life direction to go. But if you hold on to the inner child, ego, core beliefs, I'm not good enough, I can't cope, I don't deserve, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, those deeper beliefs will always trump, will always be more powerful than the most well-intentioned positive thinking or affirmations or vision boards. Because when we, am I right in thinking, David, when we get our intentions into alignment with truth, authenticity, honesty, the second part of the equation, Yi Dao, will just happen. It just happens. That's the way of nature. That's just the way of the universe.
So the second part is Qi Dao. So when you get the Yi, the intention correct, then the Qi will follow. If you get the intention misdirected, if you think one thing but want something else, that then causes what we call red light feelings. When you get the intention correctly, and then you get the Qi flowing, and now you'll get green light feelings, happiness, joy, positivity, love. You get that. That's the result. Remember, your emotions are always the consequence of what you believe. A client said to me I think it was last week, we were doing this teaching, and he came back on, he said, I've got it. He said, so what you're saying is like jumping in your car. He came from the UK. He said, it's like getting in your car. You really want to go to London, but you set the sat nav to Glasgow. And then you get mad because the car keeps taking you in the wrong direction. The direction, and then that's exactly what it is. You've got to get it aligned. You must remember that this is why I'm kind of torn on the law of attraction, because I think it's good on one thing because it's brought a lot of people's attention to this. But the way it's taught in the things like The Secret, I believe, is fundamentally misaligned, because you have to get that attention. You can't just wish for it and then somehow the universe delivers. The universe is not your servant. You are co-creator. You are a co-creator with the universe. So you have to flow with it. You have to be in that flow. And the beginning, as you said, the first step, as we always say, is you have to have truth, honesty, and integrity. Would you say that to your physical child? These are the questions you should be asking yourself. Because when you get that first step right, as my gentleman friend, my client said, you now get in the car and you say, London. You want to go to London, you set the sat-nav to London.
Yeah.
You don't even think about Glasgow. You don't even go in the wrong direction. And so now the sat-nav guides you. If there's a traffic jam, it takes you around it, but it keeps heading to where you want to go.
So this internal programming, checking is, I guess, the difference between the modern teachings of the law of attraction, which are more like the surface level, let's spend time vision boards, let's spend time cleverly wording affirmations. You've really got to do this core deep level work for when you're working at the level of kind of the Taoist teaching, because it's understanding energy and that our beliefs and then the next level up, our thoughts, are the major directors of energy around us in terms of our life, much more so than our actions.
And then that's when we meet our little friend.
Yeah.
We meet the little one, our inner child. So our inner child has a different agenda.
Okay.
So the inner child will want what it wants when it wants it. It doesn't want to go, it doesn't want to harmonize with the flow of the universe, of the Tao. It wants to set its own course.
Well, it doesn't understand because
exactly.
The inner child is, it's not an entity separate from us. It's just let's say a juvenile, immature part of our psyche, our belief system, that sees things very simply in black and white. Yeah. And why would it understand energy, the universe, the principles of energy flow and alignment?
And it wants it. It wants
and
it
it wants
now.
Immediate results.
It wants immediate results. This is why it wants it now. So it doesn't want to take small, careful steps. Mm-hmm. It doesn't want to build up slowly. It believes that it deserves it, and it will give you the evidence. It's not fair. How many times have you heard that inner voice saying to you, it's not fair. I should have it now. I deserve it. All these bad things that have happened to me, all these traumas, I now deserve the universe to somehow magically transport me to London. I shouldn't have to go on the trip to London. So you have this inner battle. And this is why Yi Dao, Qi Dao is very important. You have to, first of all, work on your intention and get that intention right. You have to be aware of the flow of the universe. You have to then align yourself with the flow of the universe. I remember once, you probably remember this, I was giving this teaching to a meeting. We had quite a few hundreds of people there. And this lady came up to me afterwards and she said, I don't believe the law of attraction works. I said, why? And she pulled out of a handbag and she'd written a check to myself, £1 million. And she said, I've been carrying this check around with me, 5 years? And I still haven't got the £1 million. And it doesn't work like that. The universe doesn't just give you what you want. The universe will flow. The Tao will flow. I prefer the word Tao. The Tao will flow. And we're in a canoe and we have to align with that flow. We can't suddenly command the river to flow in a different direction because we want it. So that's why our intention has to be in harmony, into flow, into balance, into living in our truth, honesty and integrity. And that is normally, not all the time, but normally with my clients, that is where it goes wrong, because they have this split intention in their mind. They want something, they think it's the correct way, but the inner child wants something else. And that creates the confusion, that creates the red lights, that leads them onto the carousel of despair and into the maze of confusion. And I guess that's why they contact me, because we then try and unpick that. I often think about it, at the back of your computer, you've got all those wires all tangled up, and you have to straighten out all those wires and to get your intention clear.
And so this is at this first stage level of work, the important stage, we have to recognize that when our ego or inner child fears or desires are leading us, because as you say, the inner child wants to control energy, control outcomes, fast track outcomes, manipulate outcomes. It's not interested in understanding energy flow and alignment and small steps and harmonizing. It's in the opposite way. And then the other problem we have when we're led by our inner child, wishful thinking and desires, is the inner child doesn't trust.
Yes.
It doesn't trust that if I do my bit, which, as we said, my bit is just getting my intentions true, clear and honest and understanding how energy flow works. That's my bit. The universe then will do its bit. The inner child doesn't trust that. The inner child thinks I have to oversee, control everything, everyone, all situations. Otherwise, there's going to be problems.
Yes, so there's two things there I'd like to pick up what you just said. The Tao doesn't bend to you. The universe doesn't bend to you. You have to align with it. That's the number one thing. And when you're talking about the inner child, the thing that came to my mind is the number one thing that the inner child finds most difficult to accept is the unknown or uncertainty. It wants certainty. It wants to be future-proofed. It wants to know it's going to get its due deserves. If it puts this effort in, it will get the results. And now it will not accept that we do not live our home base, where we live and where we always live, is the unknown, is uncertainty. So that for the inner child will then immediately, even as I've said that, if you're listening to this, you may have even experienced a pang of anxiety because the inner child doesn't want to accept that everything is uncertain. We don't even know what's going to happen in the next second, the next week, the next month, the next year. We don't know. But that's okay. In fact, for a Taoist, that's wonderful because in that uncertainty is where our creation happens, is where our authenticity blossoms. It's a little bit like a surfer. I'm not a surfer, but a surfer surfing the waves. You can't lie there waiting for the perfect wave to come before you begin to surf, because the perfect wave will never come, because it will never meet the expectations of the inner child. And so that's why the inner child, if you notice yourself going round and around in a circle, you've now surrendered the law of attraction, because what you've told the law of attraction is, or the Yi Dao Qi Dao, I want to circle. Mm-hmm. And so you circle, because you're living out as what you want. And now you would say, I wish I didn't go round in circles, but that's just a wish. Mm-hmm. The actual intention, the thoughts are, I'm not going to move until I know certainty.
Yeah, until the time is right, until all the ducks are lined up, until everyone else is doing what I want them to do.
Right, so that's the inner child's belief
Yeah.
that you just said. The problem comes, the universe will never line up the ducks.
Yeah.
So now you've got an impasse.
Yeah.
Now your intention
Yeah.
is opposed to the universe. So
Yeah.
right away, what you immediately get is a red light feeling, anxiety, fear, whatever you want to call it. But what happens actually physically is you just go round and round as in a circle, the carousel of despair. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a part of you that I would call the spiritual part that wants to align with the universe and to go into the unknown, to take a step into the unknown. But then you have the pull of your inner child saying, no, let's stay in the familiar. Yeah. Let's stay what we want. And that then confuses the yi, your intention. I hope I've explained that clearly.
Yeah, because to me, David, this sounds like we're talking about a second step in terms of the work we can do. The first step is getting the intentions clear, true, honest and authentic, not led by ego fears, inner child fears or doubts or what we think we need to prove ourselves for other people, not led by any of that. So that's the first part. Then we start sending out that energy in our thoughts and our actions and what we do day to day in order to get what we want. And we open ourselves up to opportunities from the universe that may direct us towards these authentic goals and wishes. The second part now, as I see it, as you've just described it, is almost like holding on nerve, the trusting part, the steadfastness, the consistency, the not having a wobble and doubting, the almost, and this is a very Taoist term, I think, the detachment. So we set the intention of this is what we want, and I believe this is truly authentic, and now I'm opening myself up. My energy is going to be aligned with this intention, and I'm going to flow with the universe. But now I need to, in some way, detach from the process and not start to try and manipulate or look for signs or expect too much too soon. But it's getting that level right between detaching and going too passive, like, oh, right, well, when's it going to happen? We're back to this kind of writing the check thing. We have to maintain the true, let's say, vibe of the energy. It has to be maintained consistently, strong and clear in terms of our actions and our thoughts day to day.
That's right, Alex. And so as you was explaining that, another phrase that we use, and we've done several videos on that we call CCJ. So if you think about CCJ, criticizing, comparing, and being judgmental, if you do that to yourself, such as comparing, if you compare yourself to someone else, if you say, I'm not doing as good as them, they're in a better job than me, they have a bigger car, they have a bigger house, or how can I even improve if I don't compare myself? Where are you putting your intention?
Yeah.
You are putting your intention on somebody else. You're giving them control. You are not taking accountability and responsibility for forming your intention. I remember we did this a few months ago, and you said to me, well, how can you judge yourself if you can't judge yourself against somebody else, you said. But that's the whole point. If you judge yourself against somebody else, you're giving your intention to them.
Yeah.
You're saying that I need you before I can step forward. Now, as I said to you at the time, you are now not following your yi, you're not following your intention, you're walking in their footsteps.
This is where I like the analogy that you used once about the radio frequency. Say we set our clear intention, true intention, we can write it out, what our intentions are in every aspect of our life, relationships, health, career, money, lifestyle. We've checked they're right. We then start acting and doing and thinking in alignment with those, that is then energy expelled, energy sent out to the universe. We're sending out a clear radio signal of this is what we want. And the idea is then we harmonize with the flow of the energy of the universe. And that's how things manifest. If we then start, checking with the neighbor, checking with my colleague at work, checking with what my friends are up to, and questioning and doubting and comparing and criticizing and judging ourselves, that then changes the need or the knob on the radio, and you, rather than getting a clear signal out to the universe with your thoughts, actions, and where your mindset is, you start to then move the radio signal towards your colleagues, your neighbors, your friends, and then everything gets corrupted. The signal gets corrupted.
But there's even something that you just said. I agree with everything you've just said. That's even more powerful. Social media.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
You now start to look. You set your intention. Okay, I want this job. Then you split it down into small steps, and you start working those small steps. Right away, the inner child starts to say, "Oh, you're not doing this quick enough." Now look on social media and you see somebody doing it quicker. And I'm amazed now you can look at this for yourself. Go into any cafe and you see everybody just looking at the phone, scrolling through social media. Why are they doing that? Why are they wasting their time looking at what other people are doing instead of concentrating on what they're doing? Because now you're falling into the trap, and this breaks Yi Dao Qi Dao. Because now if you find somebody that's doing a little bit better than you, the inner child then, oh my goodness, it's like feeding red meat to a lion. It loves it. It goes, there you are. Look, I told you this didn't work. Now it starts CCJ, criticizing you, comparing you, and being judgmental. Oh, you're not doing as good as them. You're not doing this as fast as them. They're more advanced than you. And you move your intention. You change your dial. You now have forgotten what you want. You now are in no man's land. You're now looking at the next person that you can hook onto, and then the next person and the next person. And this is where it goes wrong. And this is where we lose our Yi Dao Qi Dao, our law of attraction. Because what are we attracting? If you're following somebody else and walking in their footsteps, what are you attracting in your life? You stop being unique. You stop following your path. You stop your creativity. You then restrict your potential. You're harming yourself. And this is why this is so important, to set that clear, honest, truthful, with integrity, intention, and then stick to it. Every day, stick to it. Don't give up. When things get difficult and challenges, you know what? That's when you try even harder, because you can cope. You've always coped. You are a coping machine. You are amazing. Now, when I say that, the inner child will kind of go, listen to what's saying. Are you not amazing? Do you believe that? Not are you superior, not that you're better than anybody else. There is no one in the universe like you. No one. You are unique. Why don't you follow your unique path? Set the course, make sure it's true, split it down into small, consistent steps, and then start walking that path. And as Alex said, very quickly, there'll be all this side noise and distraction. Keep your dial tuned in.
Yeah, David, honestly, I'm laughing, but that self-discipline of keeping your dial tuned in at all times going forward, it's not just a case of setting the dial, and then leaving it. This self-discipline is so important. And I'm laughing because the social media thing is so true. Never have I seen so many things presented to me on Instagram for like facelifts and mad cosmetic surgery. And if my intention for my health, my lifestyle, my well-being wasn't clear and true, it would be so easy to slip into CCJ mode. And then that's when we lose the trueness of and the effectiveness of really working with the energy of the universe and the law of attraction and manifestation.
That's right. And so the inner child has got all the techniques, because it will then say to you, well, if this is your intention, it should be easy, shouldn't it? Shouldn't we get it just like that? Click our fingers in. But that's not the flow of the river. That's not the flow of the Tao. The flow of the Tao, go back to my sat nav. You can set your sat nav to London or Chicago or wherever you set it to. But there might be distractions. There might be a road accident. There might be a roadblock, and you have to detour. But you keep the intention clear. You don't go on the wishful thinking. And so it's very important to have that clarity. And that's why I believe in meditation. You don't have to do it. But for me, meditation, 10, 15 minutes a day. And if you look at our YouTube site or our podcast site, there's numerous meditations on there, very quick. Some are as close as 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, where every day you can have it on in the background as you're making your coffees in the morning or a cup of tea or you're going for a walk. Just put the earphones on and just listen to something that reaffirms your authentic intention. Today, when I go to work, today, this is what I'm going to do today. And if I get stuck, if I meet a challenge, I will find my way around it. That's why the Taoists love the analogy of the river. I know I use it all the time, but it's such a strong analogy. A river is flowing. When it meets a boulder, a stone, it doesn't hold its hand up and go, oh, well, there you are. Look, this other river over here hasn't got a stone. It finds a way around it. And that's the flow of the Tao, or if you want to say the law of attraction, the flow of the universe. The flow of the universe, it doesn't follow the strict rules that you set down to it. We have to align with it. It doesn't align with us.
Wonderful. Thank you, David. Well, I really hope you have enjoyed this teaching. In the show notes, I will put links to our Law of Attraction video playlist and also our guided meditation playlist. So there's lots of stuff on both of those playlists that will help you with this process, understanding more about the Law of Attraction, how to practically apply it. And then there's beautiful guided meditations that David has just talked about. If you have enjoyed this teaching, please do like, comment and subscribe. Tell us what has resonated with you and perhaps share it with someone else who you think it may also benefit. David works every week one-to-one with clients all over the world by a Zoom video call on exactly these sorts of issues. If you'd like to learn more about David's one-to-one consultations, I'll also put a link to those in the show notes. And David is now producing a free Substack blog where he writes several free articles every week on Taoism and Wu Wei Wisdom and the inner child and all the issues that we talk about in our teachings. So please do check that out. I will put a link to subscribe to his Substack also in the show notes. We look forward to sharing with you again very soon. Bye-bye.